What's up guys, Nor here and welcome to Book of Showtime Chapter 4. As always, if you guys enjoyed these videos, make sure to leave some feedback and comments down below, as well as share it with your friends. And if you have a topic you want me to cover, you can leave it also in the comment section down below or anywhere you can reach me on social media. Guys, I just want to say thank you so much for all the support you've shown me on this series so far. I've really enjoyed it. I've really felt special about this series. We've got over 100 views on the Book of Showtime Chapter 3 about who is the GOAT of WWE. So if you haven't, make sure to check out all the previous videos, especially that one. I really thought that was a really well done video personally. I know it's kind of a little egotistical to talk well about your own stuff, but I was really looking forward to doing that project, or at least that topic, you know, when it was brought to me, and I just kind of bringing everything together was really fun. And again, over 100 views in like a short period of time. Thank you guys so much for just supporting my series, and I hope you support this video, the series as it goes on. You know, sorry, I'm getting a little flustered because it was insane to just get, you know, over 100 views just that fast. But people really seem to dig, you know, wrestling. You know, everyone likes wrestling. But let's get into today's topic. So a few days ago, I asked on Twitter for you guys to give me dormant series, and I give a verdict on if they need a sequel, remake, or reboot. This is a concept that I will revisit, as there's a lot of series that have been dead for a while. Before I go over this list, here's a quick disclaimer. Ports, HD collections, remasters, and definitive editions will not be counted. The series has had to have had a proper new installment. Browser games and mobile games will also not be considered, yet spin-offs will, because the scale of those games differ from the previously mentioned browser and mobile games. Enough with the formalities, let's dive right in. Ben says Jak and Daxter. I'll keep it a buck, I've never touched a Jak and Daxter game. A couple of weeks ago, I did set up my Dookie Station 3 to jump on the HD collection, but I never got around to it because I just don't play single player games anymore, it seems. But I do think there is a serious demand for a new Jak and Daxter game, seeing as every now and then it'll get trending on Twitter, and everyone crosses their fingers and toes for something during State of Plays. Not to mention, a few months ago, a group of fans did make a PC port of the very first game, which shows the fans base has some serious passion. Naughty Dog was at the helm for the first 5 installments, and we know how much they love re-releasing the same game. So my verdict is remake. Think what was done with Ratchet & Clank a few years ago. Reintroduce the characters and universe to a new generation of players while giving longtime fans a reason to dive back in. PS2 era games were legendary, and the only thing that tends to be dated are usually the graphics and sounds, not to mention the accessibility of these games can be a real pain. Like, seriously, as someone who tends to avoid emulation, I really wish the games were more accessible. Like, they need to be preserved better. Like, you can go buy a movie that came out in the 70s on Blu-ray, on DVD, on all types of streaming services, on Amazon Prime. Games don't get that treatment. Not to mention, a remake can also gauge some interest in a potential sequel down the road too. So there's that. Let's get some Jak and Daxter going, guys. Vinny Mortem says Castlevania. I'm guessing Vinny isn't too happy with pachinko machines, and neither am I, to be honest. This is an entry that really doesn't need explanation. Castlevania is beyond iconic, and along with Metroid has pioneered its style of side-scrolling action-adventure gameplay that is still emulated to this day with great success. Not to spoil the rest of this list, but Castlevania is also the biggest name you're going to see mentioned today. Now, Metroidvania games haven't always been my cup of tea, but Castlevania Aria Sorrow did slap, as did Bloodstained, and I dug what little bit of Shadow Complex I played. But this isn't about the best Metroidvania game, this isn't why we like Castlevania, this is about what's next with Castlevania. Including spin-offs, there's been close to 30 games, an anime, and 2 reps in Smash Bros. Ultimate, so this is still a popular series in my opinion. With the follow-up series to the anime dropping in the future, it would be a good idea to have a sequel. Traditional Castlevania gameplay is still fun, so it's not a dated style like, let's say, a Resident Evil type game. People are still familiar with and enjoy these styles of games, and there's still plenty of potential for innovation. Also, Castlevania has a rich history and universe, so why not continue the history with a new generation of characters for a new generation of players? Luminous Amy says Onimusha. Whereas Jak and Daxter and Castlevania are more known IPs, Onimusha is a pretty niche and obscure series, but to be fair, aren't all Capcom games kinda niche and obscure? And whereas I never played a Jak and Daxter and I've only played one Castlevania to completion, I have played Onimusha's 1, 2, and 3 all the way through, and I can tell you, they are really good games. Especially with all the classic Resident Evil DNA they have, I really enjoyed them. By the way, Capcom, can you please port 2 and 3 soon? Thank you. You wanna know a fun fact? Despite kind of being lost to time, Onimusha was the first PlayStation 2 game to sell 1 million copies in Japan. How cool is that? I'm gonna cut to the chase. Onimusha is a really good series, and it's hard to pick what it needs because there's an argument that it would benefit from both a remake and a reboot. Remakes are interesting because you have to, in my opinion, preserve the original feel of the game while pushing it into a modern era. Whereas with a reboot, you can take the game into a new era and debut a new gameplay style that fits your vision for what your game should be in present times. Games that play like Onimusha don't exist anymore, so remaking the game with a host of quality of life changes would offer something unique to players both old and new. Rebooting Onimusha would allow Capcom to make a game that could be a bit more casual friendly. This can ensure that the game can be popular. And if they want to reset the story, that's easy to do because there's plenty of inspiration to be taken from the Sengoku period if they want to conjure up a fresh story for a new generation of players. Seriously, let's just get something for Onimusha. But if I had to pick, I would go with Remake. And it says Army of Two. Army of Two was never going to set the world on fire, but it did its job, providing a solid cooperative experience. In fact, I remember playing this with Dennis at my house back when we were younger, and sadly with the server shutdown, this is the only way to play them now, side by side, couch co-op, old school style. Army of Two was, to me, like the alternative to Gears of War. You know how every series seems to have its alternative. Call of Duty has Battlefield, Mario has Sonic. I felt Army of Two was the other side of the fence for Gears. Whereas Gears had this darker, more serious tone, like a deeper story, deeper characters, and sci-fi elements, Army 2 was much more lighthearted, was a military shooter, and the story was pretty mundane, but it was just there for a fun time. This was a gameplay first type of game. But where Army of Two stood out from Gears of War and other games at the time was the bigger focused on co-op and the customization it offered with the weapons and mask. Who can forget the very unique aggro system and going back to back with your partner in something straight out of an actions movie? The sad thing is, with the Army of Two Devil's Cartel being such a disappointment both critically and commercially, the last entry of this series left fans with a bad taste. The game stripped away so much content, and not to get too deep into this honestly, it was just plain bad on so many levels. The story, the gameplay, everything was executed poorly. Should EA ever want to right this wrong, it would be a good idea to reboot this series. Introduce new characters, but keep a lot of the gameplay mechanics that made Army of Two such a fun game to begin with. There's always going to be a large market for co-op games, and an Army of Two reboot would do really well, especially with EA Play and Game Pass there to offer a taste for gamers. Knowing EA, they'll find some way to butcher this, but here's hoping they do the right thing and to do this series some justice. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, as always, make sure to leave a like and comment down below. If you guys have a series that is dormant that you want me to go over, let me know. Like I said, 6 years from its last major release is kind of the time period I'm looking at working with. And even if I haven't played it, I will still kind of go to bat for your game because I do respect popularity of games. I do respect the street cred. So, and if you have a topic you want me to cover, period, for Book of Showtime, just let me know in the comment section down below, or like I said, anywhere you can reach me, social medias. Inshallah, I will see you guys in the next chapter.